Hi guys, welcome back to Impact and Influence. I am so excited by our guest today. We've got Gina Cau with us, who is the founder and director of Sunbubs. Now, for those that usually listen to our Impact and Influence, you're probably thinking, what has that got to do with real estate? So hopefully you're tuning in, not just in real estate, but in business in general. And I think today's discussion is going to be really relevant for you, wherever you are in your business journey, around rediscovering your why, looking at your brand, your marketing, your distribution, making a difference, and how you can really hone in on that unique selling proposition. But the one thing I got, Gina, from our first discussion was your product knowledge. It is insane. So that quality control and product knowledge is what I think is your point of difference. But for those that haven't met you, hi, Gina, how are you?
Hi, lovely to meet your beautiful listeners and to see your gorgeous face, Kylie.
Gina, thanks so much for giving us your time this morning. Could you give everyone a bit of an overview of your background? Because it's really different, and I think it'll help us understand how you've got to be where you are. So before Sunbubs, what was your story? What are your credentials, and where were you kind of living? What was the space you were living in?
Yes, so I guess many moons ago, I became a scientist and then a pharmacist and an MBA graduate. And with that, I started working, obviously, before my MBA, worked as a pharmacist for a really long time, and then got my MBA and got really interested in the corporate sector, at which time I started working for a pharmaceutical company called Novartis, and then later moved into Allergan. And once I'd completed my MBA, I was always looking for a business to launch that was obviously going to match me. And what that meant was, something that was in healthcare, but that also had a good social meaning to it. So that was able to give back to the community in some way, but still be an incredible business.
There's passion for you. Gina, you've been touched, unfortunately, in your family with melanoma. And you'd mentioned to me in previous discussions that was a real driver for you to be authentic with this product, but also drive you to make a difference. Can you talk to us about what that looked like?
Yeah, so my father-in-law, unfortunately, was diagnosed with melanoma a couple of years ago, and he's had many removed since. My mother-in-law, the same, actually, and I myself. So I've had a few dubious ones removed on an annual check, and fortunately for me, they were benign, but unfortunately for my father-in-law, they weren't. But he's really on top of it now. But I think what that made me realize is that since melanoma is the most preventable cancer, we can do something about it.
So that was kind of, I guess, your purpose. So then that leads us to Sunbubs. What is Sunbubs?
So Sunbubs is Australia's first sun-safe clothing brand designed specifically for kids who attend early learning centres, and now also just kids who just enjoy exploring the great outdoors.
And I think for me, that was important in the previous discussions we've had, that you're so laser focused on what your point of differentiation is. How did you actually land at, okay, well, that's what I'm going to be at focus, and you didn't go broader? What kind of held you to account, or what drove that?
Well, I've got two little girls. I've got an 18-month-old and a 3.5-year-old, and both of them attend daycare. And the penny drop moment was when I was looking for clothing for them to wear to daycare to protect them from the sun. I wasn't able to find anything. There's certainly nothing fashionable, and there's certainly not a lot out there that is tested by our pants or UPF 50+, and nothing that's beautifully breathable and organic. So that's really what prompted Sunbubs to be created, was to find something for them to wear.
Now, how does one start? Working parents, right? We're all flat out, but I'm kind of, having my coffee the first time we've met, and I'm like, hang on a second. How do you go from waking up one day to going, I can make this clothing and I can get a distribution channel? Where do you even start with something like that?
Yeah, look, I think you just start small, don't you? And it's baby steps, but there has to be a very big intention and a strategy. So, many nights sitting late at night because, little ones go to bed at 7:30, and then, that's when I have my time, was really just trying to find a way to always be unique. What's my niche? And I think Being passionate is certainly one thing, and that always has to be there, but find a key point of difference. And that's really what my motivator for all the strategic conversations with my husband was.
And obviously your qualifications played a big part in this with your background. Did that help you with making some of the unemotional decisions?
Yeah, look, I think having a background in business has really helped. You know, why I did my MBA was when I was a pharmacist and a pharmacist manager and I was managing many stores, I didn't quite understand why I was making decisions that I was making and why at times they were successful and at times they weren't. And when I went and did my MBA, I think that really gave me the reasons or the answers as to why those decisions were working at the time or weren't. So I think having that background has certainly assisted me a lot along the way, not only personally, but certainly when I was setting up Sunbubs.
And Gina, something I'm just interested on that MBA question. You know, we get a lot of people that are self-taught in business in our industry, and I think sometimes life skills, you know, are more important than a piece of paper. But I also think our industry in particular has become more astute. The demand of the customer has become a lot more intense. Technology's put more pressure on. What for you was the key thing from the MBA that you probably harnessed or learnt that you didn't have from life skills?
Look, I think, you know, I was never great with finances. I'll be just very honest with you. And I think, you know, understanding a little bit more there has really helped a lot. The whole concept around, you know, now I have an incredible accountant that helps me, and, you know, an incredible IT person and an incredible website developer and all of these kind of things. I mean, they're all factors that I just didn't know how to do. And prior to my MBA, did not know that they were important. But this is all information people can gather now. You know, I did my MBA in 2010. You know, there wasn't amazing information out there. There wasn't a Kylie Walsh to talk to. You know, there wasn't, you know, there just weren't those key figures out there. You know, I started listening to a lot of podcasts, you know, and podcasts are free. You can listen to podcasts while you're doing your laundry and you're cooking. And so, you know, when you say people are self-educated, absolutely. And you can learn so much more than I did in my MBA just from gathering that information yourself off the internet. I think from credible sources, of course.
Absolutely. And I think that professional partner thing that you mentioned on is so incredibly important, and reaching out. I mean, we met through a great friend of ours, Jeremy Batten, who's been incredibly successful in business. And I think, you know, one of the things that he said to me is you've just got to meet her. Her energy's amazing. And she's got this great laser focused vision about where she wants to be and what she's going to do. So I think for anyone listening today, could you just talk to them around what your benchmarks were around quality control? Because I think brand integrity is so important, and what that processes look like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people think, well, a t-shirt is a t-shirt, Gina. Who cares about that? Well, I care a lot about that. And so quality control has been a huge factor, and are three of the key things that are really different about Sunbubs. So Sunbubs fabric has actually been tested and approved by APANZA, and APANZA is the governing body for radiation across Australia. So my fabric has been tested in a lab, and from that, it's actually received a 300 plus rating. So it's even higher than 50 plus, which is outstanding. And what was also really important to me is that fabric needed to be breathable, comfortable, soft, wonderful for parents to feel, but more importantly for children to wear when they're active outdoors. And that really, Kylie, was really difficult to achieve, but I wanted it to be the most premium cotton there is in the world, and that's GOTS certified organic cotton. And I needed it to be designed in a way where children could run, jump, bend and play and not have the shirt right up or expose unprotected skin unnecessarily. So checking that was going to happen was really key. So those have become really the three key differences with Sunbubs, and really, really important to the brand.
And I think for anyone listening or watching today is just hearing that product knowledge and how that you just weren't going to be flexible or negotiate on that quality allows you to position yourself to be a market leader.
Yes.
And I think we could also see there, like I've been on your website going, I've got to buy this because it's quality and it's going to protect my children. But importantly, you solve a problem. And I think for business owners or anyone looking for a point of differentiation or holding your fee, particularly in our industry, is to solve a problem. What's next?
Oh, look, there's always something in the pipe works with me and Kylie. But I've really partnered with some, and I can't talk too much about who they are at the moment, but I've partnered with some incredible suppliers at the moment. And I'm also looking at partnering with local and Aboriginal artists. I'm also looking to expand my range to include long sleeve shirts, leggings, shorts, and hats. And I'm also revolutionising the good old sunscreen. So,
well, I'm really interested in hearing more about that, because I think, I didn't really talk about it for a long time, but I've been quite public around it lately because I've just celebrated my 5 years as a cancer survivor and looking at breast cancer awareness next month. I'm really interested because when I came out of treatment and started researching what was in sunscreen, oh my goodness. And then if you want to buy the really good organics, like it's quite expensive. So I'm going to watch that space. But anyone listening and watching today has got nieces and nephews, children of their own. How do we find out, or where do we find you, or where do we order your products from?
Yes, so really, really easy. Just jumping onto www.sunbubs.com.au, but you can contact me directly at info@sunbubs.com.au, or you can call me. My details are all on the website, and you can actually purchase directly. So even if you're not a daycare facility, I do wholesaling to daycares, but I also am now testing the retail arm, and you can purchase Sunbubs t-shirts just for your children at home off the Sunbubs website.
What a great idea for Christmas presents, guys. Get in an order now so you're not disappointed. Gina, is there anything that you wanted to leave our listeners with today, considering that you probably are going to have majority of real estate professionals on here? But I think, whether you're a sales agent on your own, that you've got your own business brand with under a brand, or an agency that's listening, what would be the one piece of advice that you give to somebody around either your brand or starting and rolling out a business?
Well, I think you always need to have a very good plan in place. And I think we've kind of spoken about having a good point of difference. But Kylie, most importantly, just being passionate about what you do every day, because it is many, many hours that you're going to be putting into this. I think a lot of time people just think, running a business is really glamorous. And, it's just whenever you want to while you're having a coffee. It's all the time. It's every day. It's on the weekends. You obviously have to be very good at scheduling your times with that, and be disciplined with giving yourself some time as well. So self-care as well. So exercise in there. So I think the general message will be take care of yourself, do what you're passionate about, have a good plan, and anyone can do it.
Gosh, I've got absolutely nothing to add to that. You've summarised it so beautifully. Gina, thank you so much for your time. I know our listeners are going to love it. We wish you all the best with the business.
Thank you so much, Kylie.